All right, everybody, welcome back to the live Cisco TV studio, just coming out of another fantastic innovation showcase. This time talking about security. How do we deploy security everywhere? We heard from Jason Lamar, Senior Director of Product Management for SBG here at Cisco. Jeff Reed, our Senior VP of Product for Security Business, and they talked about changing the security equation. How do we utilize an integrated architecture of products designed to fit, to work together to create more effective security all across the network? They addressed endpoints. They talked about the cloud. What I think was most interesting about that talk was this approach to solving real security concerns, right? Not just the issues that make people the most fearful, not just the things that make global news, but what are the real day-to-day nitty-gritty pieces that help to make organizations feel safer, respond to threats faster. Jason and Jeff, they talked about automation, about analytics. We hit on cloud-based intelligence. How can it provide a force multiplier for IT teams? And that way, the resources within that IT department, they can go a whole lot farther than ever before. Another great innovation showcase. For those of you who are here in Barcelona with us, if you have not yet had a chance to attend an innovation showcase, what are you waiting for? Go. You've got 6 more opportunities. We're getting close to that. But check your Cisco Events app. Make sure that you are getting to as many of those as possible. Next opportunity, coming up about 20 minutes from now, about 15 minutes from now actually, at 4:20-ish, Jan Holtzman, Ignacio Bernal, they are going to be hosting an innovation showcase dedicated to delivering intent for data center networking. Again, 20 minutes past 4, 15 minutes from now, down at the CMAX Theater. We're going to see all of you there. All right, before we get to that, we've got a couple of great videos we want to share with all of you now, starting with our pal Rob Boyd. Rob was talking with my buddy Jason Wright about breach readiness. Jason's great. He always tells a fantastic story. I want to check out that video together. Hope you like what you see. Here we go.
All right, guys, welcome. We are in the security booth here before the show floor is even being finished construction. I don't know if that's even a correct sentence. Either way, I'm here with my good friend Jason Wright to talk security. And with everything that Cisco does from a security perspective, it always, it feels like there's no problem we can't solve. At the same time, I feel like there's a simplicity with just saying, can you walk me through an example of how we deal with some very common things? And you brought this term, and I'm going to steal this, PDR, as I remember, right? It was prevent, detect, respond. Is that correct?
Exactly, especially for a breach readiness and response type of scenario, right? There's two kinds of companies. There's those that know they've been hacked and they've got to do something about it. And there's those that don't know they've been hacked yet and they're gonna have to do something about it. So we want to be able to bring both of those two scenarios together with our technologies and our services groups to have a prevent, detect, respond type of strategy that allows you to prepare for and then react to these things that happen, man. And they do happen.
And they do happen, he said before I took the mic away. So let's walk through the first one then. So prevent, we're talking about several things working together. This is the ideal situation, is we just stop things before anything gets out of control, cue the vacuum cleaner. Tell me, how would we address this here?
Well, prevent is the first aspect that we're looking at. So first thing we can do is bring our services team in. They're going to be doing some planning and some readiness to make sure that organizations can respond when an event happens. And then you've also got Cisco doing what Cisco does best, is blocking a lot of stuff. And about 95% of that stuff will just be blocked automatically from different technologies like Umbrella, which is blocking web transactions to places that we don't want to go, and AMP for endpoints. And so if we take a look at this in the demo, we can see that Umbrella is right off the bat blocking users from going to bad places where malware can be downloaded. We can see here some of the things that we've blocked. And in AMP for endpoints, if we look at the events, there's some events that have been quarantined as we're seeing individual files on these endpoints. So 2 layers of technologies that work on and off the network, and with or without a vacuum cleaner in the background.
I'm just laughing because I'm like, who paid the vacuum cleaner guy to keep stopping and starting right next to us? And I think it's one of our competitors here.
Probably.
So is that everything you wanted to share from a prevent perspective?
From prevention, this is very simple, right? This is the stuff we know,
Yeah.
the stuff we want to block. And this is Cisco doing what Cisco does best, just blocking what we know is bad. But there's other things. There's things that we don't know are bad. until after a little while of watching them evolve and act. There's things that will always get through defenses, so we have to be able to have some more responsive capabilities and be able to detect what's going on and look into what's going on and investigate that.
Okay, so with that, detect.
So as detect is like this second phase, and so again, our services team can come on site. They can do threat vulnerability hunting and be looking for problems in the first place, but our technologies are at work here as well. With Umbrella, if we go back to the beginning here, we can look at some of the command and control network. Now this will be files that have gotten in and they're now reaching out to the internet to exfiltrate information or get encryption keys to lock up machines. So here we're being able to block that kind of stuff as well. Looking at that, where we may kick off an investigation about who's connecting to these various domains. And for endpoints, it's doing the same thing. If I look at one of these events that wasn't quarantined because we had it in a detection only policy, well, I want to look at this particular file, what it's doing. First thing I may want to do is a device trajectory, see what has happened on this endpoint to allow this infection to occur. Where is this file coming from? But I can also do a little bit deeper analysis with file analysis and look at the individual file in very great detail and start to see even things like the network activity that file might be creating, right? So that's the detect phase, where I'm kind of investigating what the initial phase may have missed.
Okay, so we're obviously, then becomes the, I found something that we missed, great. Now what are you going to do about it, right? Response.
Exactly. So now we can look at, for example, this particular IP address that this file is trying to connect to. And if I copy this out event for endpoints, I could go back into Umbrella and say, hey, show me from the investigate function in Umbrella, what exactly do we know about this particular IP address that file was connecting to? Well, here now we see this is an Umbrella block list. There's some descriptions and some malicious files that we've seen come down from there. Now I know this is bad, and we entered the response phase, right? Now, of course, our services team can be there within 24 hours to do incident response. We can start to see things that we want to block. We can go right back into our AMP for endpoints, and with just a right click of this SHA-256, this individual file, I'll add it to that block list right there. And as soon as I did with that check mark, this file will never be allowed to run on any of my endpoints again, full stop.
Oh, nice. So you're not having to go out and touch all your endpoints. You're not having to take all that time. This is literally just the right-hand click there. You did a right click.
It's the beauty of that centric model, and Talos is tying all of this together so that you see information in one console, but it's getting shared in the other, and you can pivot off that information for different perspectives. Even in the investigate page, you can see it's powered by Cisco AMP Threat Grid. So you're seeing the two technologies share information back and forth, and that's what makes things a solution. That's the advantage that Cisco brings to the table. Couple that with services, and you've got a beautiful prevent, detect, and respond type of model to make sure that you're ready for breaches and being able to respond to them.
Very well put. So are you going to be here, or a lot of your peers obviously are here manning the booths and stuff like that? So I recommend you guys come talk to the expert himself, Jason Wright. Thank you very much for covering all this. Prevent, detect, respond. Did I get it right? All right.
All right. Great stuff as always. Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, Jason Wright. PDR, great strategy. I want to toss out a very quick reminder. Coming up this afternoon at 5:30, right here, live in the Cisco TV studio, we're going to have Sachin Gupta here with us for a Facebook Live session. Sachin is Senior VP of Product Management Enterprise Networking here at Cisco. This is your opportunity. Jump onto Facebook. Ask a question of Sachin in real time. He's going to be here to tackle those questions for you. We'll have a really great conversation. Facebook Live, and again, 5:30. That's coming up in just about an hour and 15 minutes from now, if my clock is correct. And again, right here live in the Cisco TV studio. If you're walking around the show floor and you want to be a part of it, come on over in person, and you can take part that way. Otherwise, if you are tuning in online, send in those questions, and we'll take care of them right here. All right, we want to share another video with you at this point. Rob also took some time to talk with Dan Stotz about Cisco network security, specifically, how do we stop threats and control access? Terrific piece. We want you guys to check this out. I will see you back on the other end of the VT. Here we go.
Hey guys, we're back in the security booth where I highly encourage you to come over and walk through a bunch of the demonstrations that they have here. But I tell you, Jason, one of the things that I don't want to say I struggle with, because that would be admitting a weakness, which I really don't want to do here on camera, that I just did. The weakness is, well, security is a very dynamic environment. I used to joke it's the gift that keeps on giving, but that also reveals a frustration from a customer perspective. We have a lot of security solutions within Cisco, but if you've got just a few minutes and you're trying to get a point across about what Cisco does differently when it comes to security, I wonder if you could walk me through kind of how you would start going into those explanations, and then I'll ask you a few more detailed questions about it.
Yeah, well, I say a couple of things. The first thing I say is that we have a lot of great technologies, a lot of great individual point product technologies. So if you have a certain problem and a budget and an issue that you're trying to solve with a very narrow focus, we can be there for you to help you out. But the real advantage that we bring to the table is making these things work together and communicate.
Do you think it's true that, because all information is going to have to traverse the network at some point to reach its destination, because all attacks have a goal, so it's got to traverse one, if not multiple Cisco devices or points of presence. A lot of the different tools you mentioned are going to make some, hopefully make some impact on that, but is that a strength, you would say, from a network out perspective that we bring to the table as well?
Absolutely. First of all, we own the network, so we can leverage that and the information that we can see off of that, and as an enforcement mechanism, when we see something bad, to talk to those routers and switches and the things that make up the network to enforce our security decisions, right? But you also need to be able to be applying security both on and off the network. When you talk about branch offices and remote users and mobile devices and cloud applications and all of these things, we can't just rely on things that are network based. We have to be able to protect our users wherever they are. So we've made a lot of investments in technologies that do just that as well.
Okay, now you got a couple of objects here that are here for a reason. So we have them out. Can you walk me through what you're saying here?
Well, this is kind of what I was just talking about, where we have the network and we have so much information and visibility that we can glean from that. Okay. And when I start to talk about some of the different products and technologies, we really have different lenses that we can look through. Right? One of the favorites is AMP for endpoints or AMP for networks, is looking very detailed into the file. What is that file doing? How is it behaving? Who is it talking to? What are some of the things that may want to let us know that it's bad? So that's kind of like looking at a microscope at an individual file level basis. So very detailed, very granular type of perspective and view that we get from that, right?
Which implies there's less context here, right? So you've got a very deep, narrow view, but maybe you're missing the context of the threat or whatever it is you're examining?
Well, it does start to get shared, right? We can say, what is the threat doing? Who is it talking to? Who is it communicating with? What's it doing on the network? And for that, we can start to look at just our reading glasses, right? And so this is like Stealth Watch working, where we can just see what's happening on the network and where are these files communicating to? Is a server all of a sudden trying to talk to China for the first time? That's interesting. Well, your reading glasses would give you this right in front of you kind of view of the network traffic. So that's Stealth Watch.
Okay, so just a thing there. Obviously, Stealth Watch leverages NetFlow data. So we're looking at flows. We're obviously implying that there's a flow of conversation happening that is determined to then be something we don't want, a threat.
Abnormal or something that we've never seen before, a different type of behavior that it shouldn't be doing. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that we can leverage that information to identify a threat.
So I feel like I should call you Professor Wright now. So what is this object here? How does this tie into your story, Professor Wright?
Well, also beyond being a professor, I'm also an avid sailor. And so I love the sailing spot scope, right? And this is kind of like Umbrella. Right? This is looking at our web traffic and what's happening off of the network. Yeah. So now we can look further outside, and not inside our network, but outside of the network, see where our users are going to, where threats are coming from, where CNC traffic is going to, and this gives us a more extraneous telescopic view. So a lot of different ways to look at the network traffic across 3 different lenses. Outside the network from the internet, right on the network from the NetFlow and what we see right there, and then a very microscopic view into individual files from AMP and Threat Grid.
I just want to point out the fact that you're using a metaphor for a product called Umbrella. You're using a telescope, but that's fine, because you are a sailor. You truly are a sailor. It's just funny. So, okay, so this kind of brings it together, the importance of seeing things from different angles, seeing things up close, seeing things in context more from afar. Just a couple of quick specifics. How well are we doing from a next generation firewall perspective? Do these products still matter? Are we doing things differently perhaps than we did before? How do we compete?
Oh gosh, it's really amazing the way that we continue to evolve those technologies, right? We've added the source fire intrusion prevention in there. We've added the advanced malware detection and prevention that's like the telescope. We are doing more and more every day to allow the next gen firewall and IPS to both send information out and receive information in, both with our Cisco technologies to interop there, but also to interoperate with third-party technologies as well.
So interesting. So our individual point products, as we almost sometimes refer to them, their strength does come from the team that they play on, it sounds like as well. Because what I'm hearing you say is there's a lot of very good technologies, but there's a wealth of people from Talos, the team that supports Umbrella and the DNS security that we're doing there. All this stuff works together, and it's one can't be had without the other. That's really important to how we get to the solution of just security, where we just basically want things to quit going wrong.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to share the information that each of these technologies is seeing to be able to have a more comprehensive view of what's going on the network. And that's real beauty, right? It's not just one little bit of information. When we see something here, it's passed over there, and all of the different lenses can benefit from it in their own way, in the own way that they look at traffic. Right? So that's the beauty that Cisco is bringing to the table, and that I love to demonstrate and show how we're sharing this information to automate the workflow and to expedite the ability to identify those threats, and that's what we're doing.
Perfect. So come by and see Jason demonstrate this. We've been told that the vacuum cleaners and all the extra work that's going on around us is going to be gone by tomorrow. So come check it out. They'll be here all spiffed up and shiny and ready to go, and see how security will make sense in your environment, because they are killing it within Cisco right now. Nice stuff. We'll see you back.